Good morning, everyone. It is Man Coverage with Knoxville Nate and the coach, Rico McCoy. We will also have today joining us our Big Ten correspondent, Mr. James Bonneville. And we are going to break down the week that was college football. Had some big-time games yesterday, had a couple of upsets, had a couple close ones. And we're going to talk about them all today and get into what's going on. We got the first college football playoff rankings coming out this Tuesday. So this was kind of the final chance for a lot of the teams to get another game on tape for the voters, for the people that make these decisions, for the people that create this college football playoff subjective poll. And we're gonna see what happens with it. We're gonna see who they liked, who they didn't like, and who they think is number one, who they think is number two, and so on and so forth. So we'll talk about that a little bit today, and then obviously next week we'll break down whether or not we agree with that or whether or not we disagree. So we'll get into that a little bit today. We're going to talk a little SEC. We're going to talk a little bit Big Ten with our boy Bonneville, and we're going to break down these games. We're going to have the coach is going to be joining us here in just a moment, Mr. Rico McCoy, bringing his knowledge to the table. And I believe he's here with us now. So we'll bring him in and have him enlighten us into the world of college football. Coach.
Morning. What's up, Nate?
How you doing, brother?
I'm all right. What's the deal?
It's good to see your face. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's good to be back. Did
Nice,
you miss me a little bit?
Nice. Well, I was just kicking us off here. I thought we'd talk for just a second about some of the games in the SEC, and then I got Bonneville on the line with us. He's going to break down a couple of the Big Ten matchups and help us dissect what happened there, if that's cool with you.
Man, that's perfect. We got Bonneville, and we have Coach Richardson, Quintin Richardson, gonna come on about 11:35.
Perfect.
So those guys can fill in the day and spread some of their knowledge, and we go from there. I like it. Hey, what's up with the hat?
That is my grandpa hat, man. My grandpa gave me that one to keep my head warm.
Okay.
And it's starting to cool down a little bit outside. And honestly, really, I just didn't have time to get in here and do my makeup and get my hair done like I usually do. So that's why I was trying to cover it up. But
I got you. I follow you.
You know what, though? As old as I am, I'm kind of glad to still have hair. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow. Is that a jab?
No. No. My point is I'm the only male Schmidt that has hair. So
Okay.
It's like a gift that God bestowed upon me and the
I
only
hear
one. Because the rest of things I'm certainly lacking on, like the looks, but whatever. First thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, Coach, is what went down yesterday in Jacksonville. They don't have a Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback, and it doesn't really seem to matter. They kicked the crap out of Florida. First off, I want to ask you, can they win the national championship with Stetson at quarterback? And two, what the hell has happened to the Gators?
Listen, I feel like the time is now for the Bulldogs. I was expecting a much better game, but I think, Nate, that I'm underestimating how good a team ball that Georgia's playing right now. Their defense is amazing. I don't think that Florida, anything happened to them. I think that Georgia is a better football team than I gave them credit for. I think that they have a phenomenal defense right now. I think that everybody's bonding well, and hey, listen, we're going to see, but I think they have a chance to be a great football team. I mean, listen, they find a way to win. They're good on special teams. The defense gets it done. They can run the football. When they need the quarterback to make a play, which isn't often, he does get it done. It's team football. That's the name of the game right now, and I think that's what makes them so dangerous. I look, I couldn't put my finger on it. Like, why are they so good and effective? I think it's because they don't rely on a star QB1, and it's everybody locks in to do their job. Nate, I was impressed, and I think that. I mean, of course, you got to make it out of this SEC championship game, but
Yeah.
dang, if it hadn't been for that, I think they would be playing in a national championship. We're going to see what Alabama can do against Georgia, man. I'm looking forward to that game, Nate.
Yeah, I am too. I think it's going to end up being Bama and Georgia, and we're going to see if Bama's gotten better. And I'm going to agree with you. I definitely did not give Georgia the credit probably that they deserved. I thought they'd be a good team. I thought they'd be a top 10 team, but sitting here week 9, I didn't think they'd be dominating like they are. I just
still playing good ball.
Their defense is pretty much unstoppable, and they hammer that run, man. I mean, you really can't run against them, and that's a big problem for Florida because that's what they like to do. They like to run the football, and they finished with around 160 yards, but it wasn't. They had to keep going. I mean, that was 40 carries. So and they keep going back and forth between the two quarterbacks. I think the Gators. I'm hoping they give the coach another year because I think Dan Mullen has proved himself to be a pretty good coach.
Is that in the air? Is that what's on the table?
Man, I'm hearing he's on the hot seat already, and I just think that's crazy to me. This is a guy who's been a big time assistant. He was had the Mississippi State Bulldogs ranked number 1. I mean, this is not a guy that they just plucked off the street. He's got some credentials, so I hope they give him. I hope they give him a little more time.
There's not 10 more Dan Mullins walking around.
No, there's not. Man. I know this. I can always tell you when a coach is a good coach because he gets fired, and then he gets snatched up like in 2 days. So, man, I like that. That's some nice gear right there, dude. I like the Allen University. I like the logo. That looks good.
Appreciate it.
You're gonna have to hook us up. We'll both be rocking it on.
I got you.
All right.
I got you.
All right, so we got the Bulldogs, man. And before we bring Bonneville in, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Ole Miss Rebels. They've been rolling pretty solid throughout this year. Lane Kiffins seems to have found a quarterback that can run his offense, and they've been rocking pretty steady until yesterday when they went down on the Plains and they ran into a Auburn team who starting to play pretty good football, and Ole Miss got spanked a little bit. That shocked me a little while. I mean, that shocked me. I don't know about you. Did you see that coming?
I definitely picked Ole Miss in that game.
I did too.
I picked Ole Miss. Any word on the QB? What happened to him?
Who's that? Matt Corral?
Yeah. Any word on what happened to him?
He's been banged up since the Tennessee game when he ran it 40 times. He has been a little bit banged up ever since that point. So I don't know whether or not this is still something lingering from that. I don't know if he, just took some shots in the game yesterday. But all of the things that I've heard is he will be back. So we'll see. But, he was not as effective yesterday. He 21 of 37, 289, no touchdowns and an interception. That wasn't his best game.
Yeah. Well, he got hurt. He got hurt during the game.
Yeah. They replaced him with the freshman. When he got hurt, Luke Altmaier went out there and took over. But, this game, I don't think it really would have mattered even if he'd have stayed in. Now, Auburn seemed to be the better football team on this particular day. And I've got to be honest, I've been very critical of Bo Nix. But the last two games against Arkansas and against Ole Miss, he's looked pretty damn good.
Yeah. He's he'll be remembered as a good Auburn quarterback at the end of the day. He had his ups, he had his downs. He's just one of them guys you can't get too high on, can't get too low on. You know what I mean? He's kind of right there in the middle.
I agree. I agree with you. I think he's proven to be a good quarterback. He's not great, but he is good. And I've got to say, he's played really well the last 2 weeks. So maybe I should stop ripping on him, because every time I do, he comes out and has a pretty good game. So.
Yeah. Or maybe you need to keep it. You need to keep doing that.
maybe he wants me to keep ripping on him.
That's what he likes.
That seems to help him out. But I missed that one. I picked Ole Miss to win, and I thought they would keep rolling, but it did not happen. And I got to be honest, I also picked Kentucky to take care of business.
Same here
against Mississippi State, and they got their ass kicked 31-17. What's going on? We finally start giving – this happens a lot now. We start giving Kentucky a lot of credit, and then they start crumbling at the end of the year. Do they not?
No, that's exactly what happened. It's one of them things. Mississippi State showed up and said, this is UK, and we're going to whoop them like everybody used to. And that's what it looked like. They came out there with the mindset that these guys were in the same league, and Mississippi State made them look like, old school Kentucky. So I was surprised. If I was a betting man, I would have bet on UK for some reason coming into that game. But happy I don't have a lot of money like that, Nate.
No, this is why I keep it in the wallet. You know what I'm saying? Because every time I think I know what's going to happen, something like this goes down. Now, I'm usually pretty good picking against the spread now. So if you need somebody to go to Vegas with you, I can help. But, picking out who's the straight up winner sometimes is difficult, especially when the teams, fail to get off the bus, like the defense for Kentucky yesterday. So it's pretty crazy stuff. I definitely didn't expect any of those three games to go like that. I didn't expect Georgia to dominate like they did. I didn't expect Ole Miss to fail to show up, and I didn't expect Kentucky to get spanked. So, whatever. That's the way it went.
Wait, hey.
Yo.
I was missing last week. Did you talk about Coach O?
I touched on it. I mentioned how, I could understand them firing him after the Ole Miss game, because they played horrible against Ole Miss. But I mentioned that I was a little bit shocked that they fired him after he beat Florida, and I was just kind of confused as to the timing of the whole thing. Obviously, the investigation going on and all that, I think, has played a role. But what's your thoughts on the whole getting rid of a coach 20 months after he wins the national championship?
It's that's when it's something outside of just X's and O's or wins and losses. And that's what the reports have showed. It sucks because I think he's a heck of a coach. But if you got outside stuff going on, you bring in baggage with you, which is what a bunch of those reports are showing and saying. It just sucks, man. He just seemed like the perfect guy to lead LSU to me. Listen, the history, the attitude, the grit, the coaching style, he just seemed like the perfect guy. But I guess it's on to the next, huh?
Champion. Yeah, I hope they got a plan. I never mind a team, pulling the trigger on somebody as long as they've got a plan and they know what they're doing. What pisses me off is when they get rid of a coach with credentials and then they hire some dude that's never done anything and, roll the dice, so to speak. That kind of.
So who are you? Are you gonna put an address to that or what? Who
I'm not. I honestly, I think that's something we should definitely talk about. But I got to be honest. As of right now, I'm not 100% sure who they'll go. Now, our boy James may have some insight into that. Obviously, we turn to our boy James Bonneville for the Big Ten knowledge, but he also he keeps his hands in the coaching cooking dough. So he may know better than me who they're looking at. So
let's see what James has to say.
Let's pop him in here and take a good look at him right now.
Yo, how you guys doing?
James Bonneville, how are you today, sir?
I am fantastic. It was an interesting day of football yesterday, to say the least. First off, hey, Rico, congrats on the win over Columbus State in homecoming for you guys. I just want to put a shout out to you on that victory. So
big win.
James, how you been?
Doing great. Well, it's funny you mentioned the whole LSU job, and honestly, I think their number one target is going to go after Jimbo Fisher. Yeah. But if I'm Jimbo Fisher, I mean, he has no buyout, but he's got that monster contract.
Yeah, it's $75 million.
But there's another name that keeps coming back to me. I mean, I know Woodward and Fisher have a relationship, but there's a certain guy in East Lansing who has ties to the SEC, who I think I could see Mel Tucker making that jump to LSU. I think from a recruiting standpoint, you look at a percentage basis, there is more talent on a per capita basis that comes out of Mississippi and LSU than there does, and than anywhere else in the country. Plus, no matter how good Mel Tucker does, he's always going to be second fiddle to Michigan. And Saban's gone through that. D'Antonio's went through that. Heck, George Perlis back in the 80s. I think you could really see Mel Tucker making that jump. Now, next week is going to be a key for him because, they had a great game yesterday. And then you look at all the background sabermetric stats, and you would think that Michigan State should have lost. I mean, heck, they were outgained by 150 yards. Their third down conversion rate was like 4-13, where Michigan was significantly higher. They were equal on turnovers. But the momentum in the second half, especially from Walker, changed the game completely. I mean, you could see when Michigan had the lead and they got the ball back and McCarthy fumbles the ball on that first handoff and Michigan State got the ball back, it was game over. Like, you knew Walker was going to take over the game, and they had the momentum with the crowd behind him. Now, next week, they got to go to Purdue. And I'm not going to lie to you, Purdue and Northwestern are tough places to play because the environment is incredibly stale. And you came off a huge rivalry game. Do they match that up going up against a George Karlaftis and a David Bell? I can't answer that. I mean, I've seen Purdue shock the world. I've seen Purdue completely fall on their face. But they're at home.
Hey, you're saying that he's always going to be second fiddle to Jimmy and Michigan. He wasn't second fiddle yesterday.
Oh no, not at all. But long term, I mean, it's hard to recruit against Ann Arbor. I mean, there is this passion and love affair where when Mike Hart about a decade and a half ago called them little brother, it really is. I mean, Michigan State could win for the next 20 years, and there's this image of Michigan as if Bo Schembechler is going to come back from the dead and show up on the sidelines. And
they ain't their little brother anymore because they pretty much almost year in, year out kick that ass. And I got to ask you about your boy, the transfer from Wake, Kenneth Walker. I mean, Kenneth Walker III. I mean, they kind of corralled him in the first half, but once he started rolling, he didn't stop. 23 carries. 197 yards, 5 touchdowns, Rico. What'd you think of that performance from K-Dub?
He's a star. He solidified himself yesterday. Hey, look, it's all about coming through. I tell guys all the time, it's not what you can do against somebody you're supposed to be. What can you do when the spotlight's on? What can you do in that rivalry game? What can you do when your back's against the wall? And that's when you leave your mark. You leave your legacy. And that's what he did yesterday. Hey, look, he's legit a Spartan legend off of what he did. 5 touchdowns in that game. and a tough rivalry game against Michigan. And you got to think now, Mel Tucker's 2-0 versus these boys.
Yeah, 2-0. That's what I'm saying. He ain't no little brother to nobody.
He knows nothing about losing to Michigan. I'm interested in hearing more about that LSU situation. I don't see it happening right now. I think he believes he can build something great there. This would be his third team in 4 years if he went to LSU.
Yeah.
I don't see him doing it. That I never thought about that angle, but I don't see him leaving. Michigan State they have nice boosters. They have nice facilities.
Yeah.
They have no problem recruiting. Their problem is getting a guy in there who kids like, who kids relate to and stuff like that. Listen, they may take Michigan's spot in the Big Ten. You never know. That's how I see it going right now because Mel Tucker has that momentum going right now. You beat these guys during the COVID year. Then you come back and beat them this year. And he's just getting started with his recruiting classes.
Well, you go back and look at – you can recruit to Michigan State. I mean, heck, case in point, go back to Saban when his time was there. He got guys like – Chuck Rogers out of Saginaw. I mean, people forget about Chuck Rogers, but he was probably the second coming of Randy Moss. Plaxico Burress.
Yes.
TJ Duckett out of Grand Rapids.
I remember.
I mean, Julian Peterson, Demetrius Underwood. I mean, Underwood probably from his off the field stuff, not as much, but on the field, man, the guy was like Alonzo Spellman. I mean, the guy was in the backfield like he owned a house there. Like it was crazy how well. So you can recruit there. I mean, I could even see Michigan State having a backup plan and going after Matt Campbell if Tucker leaves. I mean, I still say it. Matt Campbell, he's looking at 3 jobs, 4 technically: Michigan, Michigan State, Notre Dame, and Ohio State.
Whoa!
You know what though?
Michigan?
You know what though? You watch Matt Campbell, and they finally had a big game where they took down Oklahoma State, and then they come back the week after and fall apart again.
I know. I there is a definite ceiling in Ames because like Iowa State is second fiddle to Iowa, and no matter how hard they try, it's hard to get over that edge.
But they've got their senior quarterback. They've got their Bryce Hall, their badass
Brees Hall. Yeah.
I mean, this was supposed to be the year that they're supposed to be, contending for the Big 12 championship, and they go out and lose to a 3-4 West Virginia team
at West Virginia. Remember, that is always a tough place to play.
That's
at West Virginia. I mean, you play them at home. That place is like a riot. I mean, it's crazy. It's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, but heck, you play that games in Ames. I bet you Iowa State wins by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. I can see it.
I don't know. I just he worries me. I think he's a good coach, and obviously he's won some good games there, but the consistency, with their overall performance kind of concerns me a little bit. Rico, what did you think about Iowa State, man? I mean, we talked about them before the year. I wasn't sure whether they were really a top 10 team. Then they finally came out last week and put it to an undefeated Oklahoma State team, and then they come back and lose to West Virginia. What did you think about that?
I think that goes back to where you are. That inconsistency in part has to do with him not hitting on. Look, I'm not blaming the guys or anything like that because it's always us coaches' fault. But he's not going to hit on all his recruits there. He's probably not going to hit with most of his recruits there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point I guess was trying to get to was in a different environment, he's probably a much better ball coach. And I see where you're going with that. He has more reliable players. He has a better talented group. And he's probably much more dangerous at that point. So, I mean, it's Iowa State at the end of the day. We give him a hard time, Nate, but how consistent can you be at Iowa State? So I kind of give him a break. It's not a place I would go play ball. I'm just being honest.
It's tough. I mean, their airport, they have to fly into Des Moines and drive an hour north to bring recruits in. I mean, that's tough. I mean, that's really tough.
Yeah. Oh, and question, guy, what's up with these schools leaving? I just read a little bit about it the other day. So is it from American Conference to Conference USA or vice versa? what are these schools doing right now with these conferences that they're going to? You know the reasoning behind it?
I'm guessing it's all money. I mean, you look at the American Conference. It is all the whole way they based that conference on was large markets. So
Yeah, they went after cities instead of teams, pretty much.
Correct. Where honestly, I like what the Sun Belt has done, where they've built it off programs that came up from the FCS, the App States, the Georgia Southerns.
Okay.
And I like where they're going. I feel bad for some of those schools that, what do? I mean, like a Middle Tennessee State, do you join the MAC?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess fits, but does it really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. What's that?
I think Middle Tennessee actually fits for that MAC.
I do too. I think their scheme looks like that.
Yeah, but what about a Florida International? Where do they go? I mean,
I don't know the answer to.
I'm kind of shocked that the Sun Belt didn't try to grab them since they're an old Sun Belt program. But I mean, they could be some bad blood there from when they left. Heck, the American. I mean, they're in Fort Lauderdale. I mean, does that not fit a large market perspective? I mean, unless FAU pushed them out. I mean, I don't know. I mean, these conferences are getting weirder and weirder by the second. I mean, I wouldn't be a bit surprised before the next TV deal, the Big Ten gets big. And I've heard rumors, but I mean, the rumor I heard would have been Crazy Train. I mean, a coast-to-coast kind of conference where you're on TV 24/7. And I don't know if that even fits. So.
Yeah, I don't either, but it's going to be interesting to see how these conferences shake up. And I'm glad you brought that up, Rico, because we probably need to spend an entire show or a good show breaking that down, because you're right. We didn't even touch on that before. And there's 5 or 6 teams that bolted 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then we had, Cincinnati and some of those other teams going to the Big 12 to fill the void there.
And I don't think the Big 12's done yet. I think they're going to get bigger. I mean, it's this manifest destiny where everybody's grabbing. I could see a Boise State joining the Big 12.
I don't think they will hold up their end of the bargain.
Look at how many teams when they've changed conferences have really succeeded. I mean, heck, case in point, Nebraska. I mean, they won the Big Ten West or whatever the heck it was called, Legends Leaders way back when. But since then, I mean, their whole recruiting philosophy kind of went out the window. Like their second and third tier going into Chicago, Ohio, Michigan. And now they're trying to go back into Texas and Florida and California. And it's harder for them. Much.
Yeah, I was going to ask you both about that too, James. While we still got you, I wanted to touch a little bit on that. We were talking about Dan Mullen getting some criticism down here, and then obviously Coach O getting let go. And then here we go yesterday again with Nebraska blowing another fourth quarter lead.
Well, remember I talked a couple weeks back about sloganeering and how Nebraska doesn't do it? Well, they got a slogan now where they don't finish games.
Yeah.
Instead of L. Davis, just win, baby, it's just lose, baby. The problem is
it's ridiculous. They've got a senior quarterback.
Yeah, their talent's
It's not like this is it's not like this is Scott Frost's first year there. He's playing with his guys. So what the hell's the excuse for being 3-6 and being 1-5 in the Big Ten?
Well, I think this may go to Rico on this one, but I think their biggest problem is they hope to win rather than believing they can win. I mean, talent-wise, I mean, you put Wan'Dale Robinson on this team, and I'll tell you right now, I think they could win the West. Losing Wan'Dale Robinson hurt them significantly. And I just keep looking at this team, and it seems like a confidence issue. I mean, heck, if we didn't stop them on a 4th and goal, we probably lose that game. They had momentum on their side the way they played in the third quarter, and they just don't know how to win right now. I mean, they just find ways to lose. And at the end of the day, that goes on Scott Frost. And if they do get rid of him and eat that $15 million, if I'm Trev Alberts, I'm taking a hard look at Lance Leopold. Yeah, sure, he's at Kansas and it's year 1. But look everywhere that guy's been. Plus, he was an assistant coach under Frank Solich during his time at Nebraska. He understands the culture, and the guy knows how to win, but you just got to give him time.
Yeah. You think they give him more time over there at Nebraska, Rico?
I think they will. That's their baby boy, honestly. I mean, that's the reason he got the job. And it could be a bunch of different reasons as to why he's not been successful. That knowing how to finish is huge, but that's also preparation. So I get what you were saying as far as that going back to the head coach. It's expecting to win, it's preparing to win, working to win, and then going out there and winning. But another thing could be, I mean, what conference was he was in the American Conference when he was down there? What, Central
Florida, yeah.
Central Florida, and I mean it could also be him learning new things every year right now that he literally just didn't know going into it. You can build up a team when you're playing, let's say maybe 2A high school football. Then you get bumped up, you're coaching 4A football, and you don't know what that structure of that team's supposed to look like. And you guys like the way the Nebraska team looks. I just don't think he's building the right team. I don't. You have to take a different philosophy than when you were down there at UCF when it was score first and, see the first to 50 or win this ball game. And that was the mentality down there. You have to play defense here. You have to have some bigger, stronger guys who can take hits from bigger guys in this big. And I think he's just now figuring out what that looks like. You can't use the same formula you used at UCF out here at Nebraska. And that's what I'm thinking.
It's funny you bring that up because I go back to when Nebraska first joined the conference. And one thing that became readily apparent to me was their defense was built to stop Big 12 teams. Well, remember when they were in the Big 12, everybody was throwing wide open. I mean, Bob Stoops had Wilson and Kevin Sumlin as his co-OCs. Everybody was wide open. And their linebackers especially were significantly smaller. Mm-hmm. I mean, Grant, you had a Levante David who could overcome his size restrictions to make those tackles. But after he left, their middle linebackers, once they got bigger, weren't fast enough. Yep. And they were having a hard time keeping the edge. And they've struggled on that for quite a while until, I mean, JoJo Doman is probably the best they've had in some time. But you need more than just one guy at that linebacker position to hit those gaps.
Yeah,
you do.
Hey, and James, before we get you out of here, obviously, my Buckeyes took care of business last night. It was a little bit closer than I would have liked, but I feel like Penn State really came to play, had a good game plan, showed up, and then your Gophers got a big victory and are now sitting atop the Big Ten West.
Yep.
Got to be honest, that's not something I really saw coming. But they're doing it, man. I mean, they're in front, 4-1 in the conference. Do you think Minnesota can hold on? And what's your before you get out here, what's your outlook on the Big Ten the rest of the way?
I do see Minnesota doing it. I mean, quite frankly, the defense has been, which has been a problem in years past, has been really solidified, especially with the grad transfer of both Niles Pinckney from Clemson and Jack Gibbons, the linebacker out of Abilene Christian. They're keeping everything in front of them. I mean, they're probably going to have outside of the Ohio State game, you throw that outlier out, I mean, we're probably around 15 points a game we've averaged. Our biggest problem has been the inconsistency on offense, where you look back at everybody points to the Bowling Green game. And that was a game where you'd have 3 good plays and then you would sit there and scratch your head and what the hell just happened here? They had no rhythm to the game whatsoever. I think it's going to come down to Iowa in 2 weeks down there and Wisconsin at the end of the year, because Wisconsin's defense is probably second only to Georgia. It's really good, and their offense is just abysmal because you want to put Wisconsin in passing situations because Graham Mertz is living a different life in his head. I mean, he is, like, you look at a majority of his passes, he's overthrowing stuff left and right. If our biggest concern right now is keeping running backs healthy. Bryce Young got rolled up on, and now we're down to 2 freshmen. and a walk-on who scored a touchdown yesterday. But I mean, the offensive line is really driving the ship right now. I mean, they're opening up holes. John Michael Schmitz, I mean, he's going to be playing on Sunday somewhere, and I could see him, if he has a good combine, going as high as the first or second round. He is unbelievable. And then you got Mount Falalele. I mean, 6'9", 380-pound right tackle. I mean,
Yeah.
And he's got great feet.
Yeah,
So,
no, their O-line has been solid, and I think that's the reason they've been able to win some of these games here, even with their 5th, 6th running back at this point. So.
Honestly, after Ibrahim went down, I personally liked Irving and Bucky Irving and Kai Thomas. I thought they were the 2 next best, but a lot of guys just had more seniority, and I give Fleck credit for honoring the hard work that they put in. But Bucky Irving, I think, you look at Bucky Irving and Kai Thomas, this has got the potential of being another Maroney Barber type of combination.
Slow down.
That's saying something right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Slow down, James.
Honestly, Bucky Irving could be very scary. I mean, his biggest problem is when he gets through the hole, he likes to bounce to the sideline. And a guy like Jim Leonard's going to pick up on that, and they got to keep him to try to bounce inside to really put those safeties and linebackers, make them, stay true to their gap. So.
Yeah. Hey, we'll see, man. They're in first place, and if they keep winning, it makes my Buckeyes look good. So I'm cheering for your boys.
Hey, appreciate it. Roll the boat, Skyuma, go Gophers.
Yes, sir. Thanks for joining us, buddy. We appreciate your Big Ten knowledge as always, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Good talking.
Hey, thank you.
Right. See you, Jamesy. All right, Mr. Bonneville bringing a lot to the table today. I think he knows a good bit about coaches. And how they're moving. So I like to always get his opinions on, which coach may go here and which coach may go where, because he keeps his ear to the ground on that one. So I think we got Q ready to go, and why don't we bring him in with us?
What's up, Nate? Rico.
Hey, how's it going? Q, you hear us okay?
What's up, bro?
Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, man, yeah. Big win yesterday. We were just talking about guys pulled it out on homecoming.
Yeah, man. How about that, man?
I like it.
Hey, Coach. So look, this was a bye week for USC. We want to get some former Gamecock insight on the program, the state that they're in right now. What's your thoughts, Q?
Yeah, the new coach.
I mean, me and Rico talk about this all the time. I want to give my guy Beamer the benefit of the doubt. First year he's in the program, and I'm really torn. I'm really torn. I don't know, because like Rico, he has valid points sometimes. You got to bring first year with the transfer portal and all that. You got to bring in some guys that you can kind of at least compete year one, and get yourself a name out there, especially in the SEC. You don't want to come in first year coach and you kind of look at what Tennessee's doing, and you just got to hats off to them guys and what the coach over there has been doing year one. So it's no excuse. We got to get us a quarterback in there. So that's why I can't. And like Rico was saying, you got to kind of bring in with the transfer portal. You got to bring in some guys, especially at that QB position. If you're not inheriting a QB, you got to bring in that guy that at least going to give you a chance. So the defense, I thought we had a pretty decent defensive line coming in the SEC play, and it's just those guys not really, I don't know if it's, like you said, coaching or whether the players just not getting it, but it's definitely need to be some changes in that program after this year one. I don't think they're nowhere close to where being wanted to be year one. So that's my opinion. He got to shake, in my opinion, he got to shake some things up, and I think he got to go some direction with maybe a new coordinators. But that's just my say. I don't know internally what's really going on. Got to look at the film and kind of and kind of look at what those guys are getting or not getting. So that's my take on Carolina football.
Y'all are loaded with running backs. Like you said, you already stated you guys are supposed to have a pretty good defensive line. We know that they have running backs over there.
Marshawn Lloyd.
I mean, come on. We talked about Marshawn Lloyd. We talk about White, the freshman, Juju. I mean, you got 4 running backs that can start anywhere in the country. I was just expecting something different. What would have been a satisfactory record for you, being as though you put in time there, and you got hours in that field?
Well, we're still on pace. We won the next 2 games. We still got 6. I think we sitting at 4 wins.
Yeah, 4-4 right now.
Well, that's not crazy.
4-4. So we win the 2 out of the next. We got what? We got Auburn.
Yeah, you got Florida next, and then Missouri, Auburn, and Clemson.
Oh, see, there you go. So if you hopefully we get a win out of Missouri, and Clemson is a rivalry game. So and Clemson's not world beaters this year. So I mean, we squeeze that Missouri and we squeeze Clemson. I mean, Auburn, they're still a team that's not world beaters either. So we squeeze 2 of those games. We still bowl eligible, and I think that's year 1. What more can you ask? Inheriting guys from Mitch at that, So I mean, what they won 1 game last year?
Yeah,
1 or 2 games last year. So getting bowl eligible, winning 6 games. I think that's huge. That's huge. I take that. I take that any time in a first year coach. So
I agree with you, and I think that what we're looking for here out of the Gamecocks is improvement, right? Like if they can show us something these last 4 weeks, play well against Florida, maybe take care of business against Missouri, and then possibly knock off either Auburn or Clemson.
That's right.
I think that would point the team in the right direction and get the ball rolling in the way that Coach Beamer wants it to go.
And more importantly, we gotta put good football on tape. I mean that's more importantly. We can't come out and play how we did against Troy and how we played against East Carolina and even how we played against Texas A&M. That's just unsatisfactory football right there.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get better at playing football, especially when you're in the SEC. Especially when you're SEC. I mean, when you talk about being on the bottom half of the SEC ranks, that's not a good position to be in.
No, and being a former O lineman, I got to ask you, you've probably seen this number 1 ranked team in the country, the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, me and Rico have been talking about it. They don't have Johnny Manziel or anybody playing quarterback, but they can run the ball and they can play defense. And that's the kind of football that travels. And they've been doing both those things really well. What's your thoughts on what Georgia's been doing so far?
And see, that's why I kind of if I had to place a blame over at South Carolina, I got to blame the coordinators. I mean, you got to come in and have a solid game plan every week. And you got to make sure, you got to ensure that your guys, your at least your starting 11 is on the same page, and you come ready to play football. I mean, there's no excuse, like you said. I mean, you kind of know what Georgia's going to bring every week. They're going to run the ball, they're going to play tough football, and they're going to play sound defense. And so we got to get to that point in South Carolina where South Carolina's going to play tough. And we're not the most physical team, and so that's a knock. We're not playing physical. I think we play physical at times, but we talking about 60 minutes of football. Georgia doesn't let up. It's even when they're rotating guys, they're coming in and you can't really tell from the first string and second string. I mean, you can tell on that D line. When 99 comes out, but
oh my God.
Exactly,
that guy is a beast.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's a beast. But we got to develop some sort of physicality at South Carolina, some sort of accountability. And like I said, when those coordinators, they got to have a game plan that's just you're really gonna have to play sound football on the other side to beat us, and especially when you know what we're good at. We got a running game. I mean,
Right.
we really don't have wide receivers. We really don't have a quarterback that we can depend on. So when you come in and play Carolina, you gotta know, hey, I'm lining up. We're coming downhill, and we're gonna give you the best shot we got, and it's gonna be 60 minutes of football, physical football. And so I just don't think we're in that position. When you talk about Georgia, who's coming in, I mean they're gonna rush for 150,
Yeah.
200. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get that, and when you have that production on the ground, it just opens up easy for your quarterback. Play action. I mean, even you can throw on rundowns, and it makes everything easier when you set up that run game. And we got those running backs. We really got to get them going, and it's predicated off the offensive line. It's predicated that's the heartbeat.
So Nate, what do you think? He's very passionate about these Gamecocks. If Coach Beamer reaches out because you're in Columbia, are you on the way over there? Are you ready to blow the whistle over there, Coach?
I'm definitely I could definitely step in and give a couple pointers out over there if need be. But like I said, I don't know internally what's going on over there when you talk about day to day. So I can't really point fingers. But there's some sort of disconnect. You could tell there's some sort of disconnect, and that's Mitch's guys. I mean, at the end of the day, that could be the disconnect. That's Mitch's guys. I mean, you got a brand new coach in here. He's trying to bring this player friendly atmosphere, but when you're coming off a one game winning season, I really think you got to get in with the discipline and kind of change the whole culture. It's still a little laid back for me. So, you bring in, you kind of need that black iron, and Rico knows. You gotta bring in guys like black iron when you come in. You can't be player friendly, not year one when you're trying to change I'm talking about a whole 180. It's not like you're going into LSU where I don't got to change much. I mean, I stick with the players I got. We just got to kind of focus in here, fellas.
Let me just throw in my scheme.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a total 180 around there, and I think that, like I said, if you got to get some coordinators in there.
Yeah. Hey, it can be done now. Coach Spurrier, that wasn't too long ago where he strung together 3 11-win seasons in a row. And, it starts with, in my opinion, and I want to get your opinion, Q, but I think it starts with hitting home runs and recruiting, bringing these guys. There's a lot of good football players in the state of South Carolina. That's kind of where things, in my opinion, all started with Coach Spurrier when he got Clowney to come and he got Melvin Ingram and these guys, some of them that were right there in the state of South Carolina to stay home. That's when recruiting took a turn and when the wins started piling up.
I mean, we were Spurrier's 07. We was Spurrier's first class, and we were number 3 in the country.
Oh yeah.
With Garcia, myself, Chris Culliver, Melvin Ingram, Wesley Saunders, and those guys. So, you're 100% right. I mean, this is a big year for him in recruiting. I mean, we're looking at what? Top 20 right now. I think we're at the bottom half of 20. I think we're sitting right at at 20 actually. So we really gotta get in. I mean, we got to get in the top 10, top 5 when you talk about competing with the Georgias and look at Kentucky right now and Tennessee's on the rise. We really got to break into that top 5 and I don't know when it came to Spurrier. It was recruiting. He got what he needed. Because we wasn't getting. We had we had about 4 or 5 difference makers, but when it came to Spurrier, it was really scheme. We had the players, yes. The defense. the defense he inherited Eric Norwood, which was a Lou guy. The Brinkley brothers, which was Lou. So it was scheme. He got the defensive coordinator that he wanted, and he took care of that offense. And the offense it just flowed because it made sense. It made sense. I mean, every game, Garcia, he played. He might have played, especially his freshman year. He was in and out with Chris Smelly a lot. I mean, it was a rotating doors. We couldn't find, especially that year too, we couldn't find a running back to save our life after Corey Boyd left. So you really got to, like I said, it's the scheme and how you're going to coach the guys that you have.
Yeah.
So when it comes to recruiting, we got to hit home in recruiting. But at the same time, you can get all world recruits and still look at LSU right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they were top 10 last year in recruiting, and I mean they're plummeting. So when you look at stuff like that, you really it comes to coaching. It comes to coaching. I can't sit here and blame players because that's not what you got to coach players to play.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Coach Beamer, he comes from a good pedigree, obviously. His old man led the Virginia Tech for a long time. I'm actually my good buddy lives here in town. That's his uncle. And so it's not like he hasn't seen it before and learned the right way. So I think he can do it. It's just, they don't give you that much, they don't teach patience in the SEC no more, Q. It's win now or get the hell out.
Right. Right.
I mean, that's how it goes.
You talk about everybody wanted to give Beamer the credit, but what's the D coordinator?
Bud Foster.
I mean,
that guy was badass.
Legendary.
That Foster at Virginia Tech. I mean, he kept that defense year in, year out, and you can't sit here and say Virginia Tech was killing the recruiting boards with defensive guys. I mean, they hit home on one or two guys, Cam Chancellor and guys like that. But you cannot sit here and say that they was just getting first rounders year after year and doing what they was doing and getting the success. And so that's where it all starts. It definitely starts from the defensive side. That defensive line, I mean, I think that's the reason why we kind of are in games and the Texas A&M was probably their worst showing, but you got to give hats off to Texas A&M. I mean, they look excellent. They look excellent.
Hey, Rico's boy from the DC area has been tearing it up. I saw he was named the defensive lineman of the week again.
Yeah.
In the SEC. Johnson?
Tyree
Johnson. Wow.
Yeah, he's been going off.
Listen. Texas A&M and Jimbo over there. I mean, God, they got it going. They really got it going. And so,
but what we got to remember is that Jimbo's been there for a while now, and Jimbo has quality guys all throughout that roster now.
Yeah.
And it's finally, we're finally getting to that point where we can see that team excel and that team finish games.
Yeah.
And we were expecting this 2 years ago, to be honest. Yeah. But now you're seeing, because Jimbo's been getting 4 stars, 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars. And now you're like, dang, this dude can play. This guy got hurt. This backup can play. He's a starter. And it's impressive. It's impressive. It happened later than we thought it would. It took a little longer. But Jimbo's finally giving them their money's worth right now. Those guys are playing football. They're playing fast. The defense is aggressive. The offense is versatile. I like it. Yeah. I enjoy watching them play. Yeah. But like y'all said, it wasn't an overnight thing, fellas. It was he got a good recruiting class. He won 6 games. He got a good recruiting class. He won 7. You get what I'm saying? He won 8. He won 7. Oh, he's struggling. He's not struggling. That thing's finally coming. It's finally taking that formation that he wants. Yeah. And I think they're going to be a problem for the next couple of years.
I do too. like I said, I really like what
What you think, Nate?
Yeah, no. Hey, you know what? That's all we need is another team dominating in the West. I mean, it's ridiculous. We watched that. We were just talking about the game yesterday where Mississippi State, nobody gave them a shot, and they paddled Kentucky. So if he can get, if Coach Leach can get the air raid working and get his guys in there at Mississippi State, you got Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, you got Jimbo down at A&M. You got the senator there in Alabama, and now look, the last 2 weeks, Auburn's looking pretty good. I mean, that's a gauntlet to run through the West, man. And it's kind of like it's freaking me out because you got the same thing going on in the Big Ten, where you got 5 teams in one side of the conference that are dominating, and then you look at the SEC, and you got the same thing, man. It's the West, especially with Florida falling apart. The West is just taking care of it. I don't know what you think, Q, but I'm just blown away by the parity between the two sides.
Well, I'm a little jealous because I'm an East guy. You know, I've always favored the East. So I'm definitely a little jealous, especially with Kentucky rising in the ranks, and then you got now Texas A&M, and like you said, Mississippi State. Where did that come from yesterday?
I have no idea.
Golly, they look good. But like you said, the West is very impressive. But that just shows you where all the recruits are going. I mean, they're going to the LSUs, they're going to the Texas, they're going to Ole Miss. Lane is a good car salesman. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. He's got a Heisman candidate over there at Ole Miss right now. So I mean, and then we got the kid from Alabama who's a Heisman candidate. We got number 2 from Ole Miss. I mean, and then you put together a couple good defensive guys at Texas A&M, and you still got a couple first rounders over there at LSU. So, I mean, come on, you just can't mess with the West right now. It just shows you what the East got.
Georgia's our only hope. Georgia's the East only hope. And to give you an example of where the players are going. What's the kid's name? It's a tight end that Ole Miss got in this past class who was committed to Tennessee, and it was between Alabama, Tennessee, and Ole Miss got him. Mm-hmm. Does that not speak volumes for where Ole Miss is right now? He's from Tennessee. 2021. He's from Tennessee. He played tight end, big kid.
Hudson Wolf.
There you go. I know his brother.
Well, Rico, when Lane Kiffin's in the house, you can't say he's not going to get, he's not going to get, 50 balls next year. So come on.
Yeah. My question is, does Lane stay there? That's my real question, because he, this is a guy that has not been afraid to jump from team to team. And, he stayed at Florida Atlantic for a couple of years because he didn't get the offer he wanted. But as soon as he did, bam, he was gone. And you saw that at Tennessee, put in 10 months of work, and then he got USC calling and he, left in the middle of the night. So my question is, do you guys think he's going to stay put, or you think he's going to take the next job that's offered that may be a little bit better?
If it's LSU or if it's USC, I mean, he's gone.
Yeah,
wouldn't. I don't think it definitely wouldn't be USC again.
No, I don't think they're going to bring him back after the tarmac incident.
Right.
Firing him on the damn plane. I think there's a little bit of bad blood, but I agree with you. I definitely think that LSU is considering him, and hell, why wouldn't they be?
Well, and you understand, Lane is a great recruiter. So now you stick him at LSU, and he doesn't really have to recruit as hard. I mean, he's recruiting very hard at Ole Miss right now.
Oh yeah,
let's make no bones about it. Yeah. He's recruiting very hard. You put him at LSU, LSU sells itself.
Yeah,
LSU sells itself. Now you got a guy like me. That's the only thing LSU has to ask himself: do they want to switch kind of to that style of football? They switched a little bit, but with Burrow, but they were still physical downhill. They had backs like Leonard Fournette, the back they got right now. So they still in a massive offensive line. So do they want to switch to that more pass happy spread offense and lane and then you got to look at the defense. They're always a defensive minded organization. So you got to see what Lane's going to bring on that defense. And so I think if he puts a whole package together and presents it at LSU, it's a no-brainer for LSU. It's a no-brainer for Lane. But he definitely got to come with something that's going to, because I don't think LSU's kind of looking at him like he's their top guy. You know what I'm saying? So he got to kind of bring something to the table that's going to put him over that hump of whoever they're looking at.
I'm gonna tell you who I think, and this is out the park. Y'all might not see this one coming. Michigan. I don't think he leaves to go to another SEC school. If Michigan were to part ways with Harbaugh, I don't even understand that extension they gave him. It made me sick, honestly. But
me too. Me too.
But
you've been there for 9 years or 7 years. You can't even win your side of the conference, and you're getting more money.
You're getting more.
$10 million a year for what?
Tell me what you think about this. I know they're old school, traditional, but they want to win bad. Let's face it, their rival is the Ohio State.
Yeah.
They can't take a risk on anybody else out there if they let Harbaugh go. They got to go for a guy named like Lane. They got to go for a guy who can who's going to get the recruits, who's going to bring that pizzazz back. Harbaugh's lost that, man. Like, he may be the baby of their program, but they need something new.
Lane would fit great.
Yeah. No, I think he would. I think especially with the roster they've got right now, and the talent they've got at
they have the recruit
receivers and running back,
and it's not. Don't take this loosely, but it's not hard to win for a guy like Lane in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
I agree.
He can put points up.
He can put points up. He can put points up. And you talk about just competing with Ohio State every year, and you got the Michigan. Iowas every once in a while, right? Come on.
Yeah.
And I don't have to go in week to week with a solid game plan. I mean, of course you want it to be solid, but I can kind of lax things up. It's not full blown. I mean, SEC, they game plan NFL teams week to week.
Yep.
Week to week.
Yeah, no, and Robert seems to think he's going to go back to the NFL. That's potential too. I just feel like, like Q said, I feel like he's going to leave. And, I know he's acting like he's the governor of Mississippi right now, but as soon as he gets a job offer that, he feels like is more prestigious and maybe a little bit more money, I feel like he's gone.
He's working too hard at Ole Miss.
Do you take in the cultural difference too? I mean, at the end of the day, like, he's been around and he's, well-traveled or whatever, but guess what? He's a Cali guy. And he's in Mississippi.
Yeah. I don't think he's
a Cali guy at the end of the day.
But I mean, I really don't see you talk about Michigan. I think Michigan is more of a you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
The problem is, like you said, the problem with Michigan is they just gave him that extension.
That's the problem.
They're 7-1, so it's going to be hard to sell to the boosters, to the athletic department, to the president. Hey, we got to get rid of this guy. When you just dumped all that cash in his lap, and then he came out and won the first 7 games when they played nobody. But watch what happens when they start playing teams. They got to play Buckeyes, they got to play Penn State still, and after watching them get their ass run over by Kenneth Walker III yesterday, I don't have much confidence in them.
5 touchdowns.
5
So that's
touchdowns.
But that's what I'm saying, Nate. It's like you gave him this money, and he hasn't beaten any of your opponents that are worthy of anything. No. You haven't beaten Michigan State. Their new coach is 2-0 against you. You've never beat Ohio State. I think you're 1-3 against Penn State or something like that.
Not good. His record.
Well,
Come on, man.
well, you look at the success of Harbaugh in the NFL when he was at San Francisco. You just look at that defense. Look at that defense.
Yeah.
Harbaugh, ever since he's been in Michigan, where he's had one decent defensive group, one decent 2 years ago.
Yeah.
With Jabril Peppers, that group. I mean, defense wins championships. I don't think his emphasis is on defense. His emphasis is on, getting the star quarterback, and even that's not panned out for him.
No, it has.
He's lost a couple quarterbacks that
he's lost several quarterbacks since going there.
Come on,
Yeah.
come on.
No, he has, and his record now is 3-4 against Michigan State, who they were handling pretty good before he got there, and now he's 0-6, 0-7, whatever against the Buckeyes. So what the hell are you paying $10 million a year for? Is my question.
Blows my mind. But and that being said, they might go with a defensive guy the next go around. So it might not be a guy like Lane. They might go defensive guy, because we talk about Ohio State defensive guy at head coach. This new guy seems like I don't know what's his background, but that defense looked good, and I mean, and it's all power football. Power football.
No doubt. Well, cool, guys.
Well, thanks for coming out, Rich.
Thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate you. Congrats on the big win yesterday, fellas.
I'm happy y'all got me on here, man. I'm definitely a fan of the show, and I'm, this is very exciting. You guys keep it up.
We love
man.
having you, man. We appreciate getting your insight and hearing your breakdown of the Gamecocks, and hopefully we can have you back on sometime soon.
Yes, sir. Nate, don't hesitate, man.
All right, guys.
Hey, hit me up, Nate.
Sunday, and we'll see you next week, Rico.
All right, brother.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
All right.
And that's it. Man coverage, week 9 in the books. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Come back next week, Sunday, 11 a.m., right here, same channel.